Hello boys and girls! It's been a while since we saw each other. I had some changes in my career happened. The second time in my life I switched from permanent employment to freelance, to consultancy. Let's see how will it go. Therefore I didn't have much time and parenting and so on, so it's more than 1 week since the last weekly Cloudy Digest. So I'm renaming this thing to just Cloudy Digest. Let's omit the weekly part. I will not lie to myself and to you. This is not weekly for sure. I will be trying to record videos as often as I can, most likely once a month, maybe rarely, maybe more often. Let's see how it goes. So welcome to Cloudy Digest. In just a couple of weeks, a very important conference will happen. It's AWS PreReInvent. If you are somewhere around AWS world, you definitely know about this conf. And this episode will be dedicated just to AWS announcements. Because every year, few weeks before the reInvent, AWS start publishing tons of news, tons of new features, tons of new services and so on. And today I will cover those which I find the most interesting, at least for myself, and the most important. If I would like to go through all of them, it will take days of recording, and I don't want to do this, and I bet you don't want to watch this. So I just selected a few topics which I will tell about today. A small thing at start, they improved the experience of how you choose, of how you can compare AWS EC2 instance types. Let's just jump into the console and take a look. Instance types. Currently I'm located in my EC2 part of console, and here on the left you can see instance types. And from here you can check every instance type you can use. And let me try to find, usually what I would like to compare is, for example, if I'm currently running on M4 large and I'm thinking about upgrading to M5 large because it's a newer generation. Besides the fact that if it's newer, it will make sense to upgrade anyway because M4 will be deprecated. Still, there may be some changes which will make me prioritize this upgrade higher, so which will make me to upgrade faster. Let's try to compare M something large. If I do M4 large, here it is. I can select it, yeah, and here I can check more precise, more detailed information about it. Okay. What is more interesting is that we can perhaps compare things here. So let me search for M5 large. Okay, awesome. And now, come on. And now just having them one by one, one to one, we can actually see the difference. Yeah, besides the family, hypervisor is different. This is all the same, the same, higher CPU, gigahertz, and some other stuff. So this is it about this part. Next, let's talk about vulnerability scanning for Docker images. AWS introduced ECR Image Scanning, and it's a really big thing. Just for those who don't know, ECR stands for Elastic Container Registry, and it's basically, you can think of it as your private Docker hub, where you can push your Docker images, and after that you can use them in container orchestration services from AWS like ECS, EKS, Fargate, or in more sophisticated ways. And vulnerability scanning for Docker images is not a new thing. There are major players in this area, at least I'm mostly familiar with Snyk and Aquasec. And with this release, AWS obviously wants to eat up a huge chunk of their market. Because if you are all in AWS anyway, it's just more convenient for you to use ECR vulnerability scanning right in the AWS ecosystem rather than going somewhere to third-party solutions. Let's just take a look how it works. Here I am in my ECR part of console. I don't have any repo. Let's create one. Just some dummy name, and right here we can see that they have scan on push option. So If you enable it, all your images you're pushing to this ECR repo will be automatically checked for vulnerabilities. This is what I want to pick. Another option is that you manually trigger the check. So creating it. Here it is. It's empty now. And let's just create some dummy image. I will create a Docker file, just Ruby. I think it will be enough for us. So definitely know that this image has vulnerabilities. I'll take the URI. Now I will push it. Yes, here we go. Okay, it's done, pushed, and let's go to the interface. Refreshing it. Here is my repo and my image. How can I take a look at it? Okay. Scan, but why is it manually? Okay, here it is. Vulnerabilities. Too critical, more or less as I expected. I think about the same number can be found by Sneak as well. Yeah, here 2 critical vulnerabilities. Cool. And I'm not sure how, but I think we can also attach some CloudWatch alarms to it. Yeah, I have to check the documentation. And here's the button to manually scan it. Wonderful. Maybe I cannot scan it manually if it has been already scanned automatically. I don't know. Okay, to the next topic. Third topic. I'm a huge fan of Terraform and HashiCorp in general. And in my previous company, I submitted a Terraform provider for code climate, as well as a pull request to Terraform AWS provider. And considering this, I cannot really truly appreciate CloudFormation. However, they just released a very important feature, which I would honestly think they already have. Apparently they didn't. This feature is ability to import existing resources into your CloudFormation stacks. Let's say you have some DynamoDB table created without using CloudFormation, and now you want this resource to be represented in your CloudFormation stack, then you can import it. This functionality existed in Terraform for quite a while. It's pretty basic there. However, it's definitely a good step for CloudFormation that they also introduced it. Actually, there were quite a lot of different announcements about CloudFormation. I'm just not that deep in this part of AWS, so I cannot really comment on them. What I can comment though is the fourth announcement I want to discuss here is a new service, AWS CloudWatch ServiceLense. I cannot say it's really a new service. It's rather a combination of 2 existing services. One is CloudWatch itself, like metrics and logs part of it especially, and the second part is X-Ray. I'm a big fan of AWS X-Ray, and I recently have done a talk on AWS user group meetup where I presented my findings with X-Ray, my experience with it, and I'm glad to see this announcement happening. If you haven't used X-Ray, or maybe you have a different opinion, but still I think it's pretty immature product. Everything there feels very awkward, from tracing maps to instrumentation of your service, how you add the X-Ray code in there. It all feels pretty hacky. I would say it's a new service, they just trying it out. It's a very good step. However, I always felt that like a lot of things are missing there. And now we can say they improved X-Ray, or they added X-ray to CloudWatch, CloudLens, CloudWatch to CloudWatch dashboard, but basically they introduced a new service. Whatever, the good thing is that it is way better integrated now, and your service maps will look not as orphaned as before. You'll have way more information there, and working with your traces should get better now, should get more convenient. I haven't took a deep look in it, and I think this topic deserves its own video, and I hope I will have time to shoot it. I think this is enough for today, and just short thing, the fifth announcement I want to share with you is AWS Config Conform and Specs. It is not really a new service. AWS Config has been there for quite some time, and even packs, like templates, were there also for quite some time. And AWS Config itself is a very sophisticated service. It allows you to do many things. But this new feature is a set of templates which you can use to validate your existing AWS infrastructure. Like different parts of your configuration, from something like that your S3 buckets should be closed for public read, closed for public write, to things like rotation of your credentials on AWS IAM, to more sophisticated stuff like validating that your infrastructure is PCI DSS, which stands for Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, so that your infrastructure is compliant for this standard. This especially may be important if you're working in fintech area, or just like you operate with some payment data on your application, your infrastructure. But as I said, it may be useful not only for those who operate in this sector, but also for any other people if you want to validate your configuration for misalignments with just some rules of thumb. I personally didn't have a chance to work with this service yet. It looks very promising, and if I'll be starting a greenfield project, I will be definitely using it to make sure we are maybe not compliant if it's not fintech sector, but at least that we are sane in our infrastructure configuration. That's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you in few weeks, maybe a month or so. Please give me some feedback if you have, using thumbs up or some constructive feedback in comment section. Maybe in constructive also fine. Thank you, and see you soon.